The shop has been invaded. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly mod collection demo shop update. Another bountiful harvest, and we're starting with Electric Boogaloo 60 Standard as one of the 12 that were dropped this week. This one gives me fancy wallpaper vibes, like I could see this color on the walls of a private study. Interesting choice to use the gold knobs and the gold hardware to bring out the gold of the finish and the gold of the pole pieces, and leave you with that clear pickguard. And they swapped our tuners out for gold. And oh, that's a shock, left it cherry red. I think this one needs the Grover Imperial tips on it though. Check out the SG Custom in Axeberry finish. So at first, it just looks like a regular SG Custom, except for they modified the pickups, they gave us cream plastics with clear knobs, ditched the pickguard. Then you get to the inlays and you realize, oh okay, they don't use the split diamond very often, outside of the Trini Lopez model yet today. And most times customs get gold hardware rather than chrome. But it looks pretty similar to a candy apples finish. Our next standard 50s was called Lemon Drop Sparkle, but it just reminds me of the original Tak Matsumoto signature guitar, without the black binding and the abalone inlays. That looks like custom shop historic knobs. The title does talk about sparkles, so I'm not seeing them, but they're probably there. This reminds me of a bumblebee. And the back is a nice sweet honey. But now the return of the blasting variety of olive drab. This time done up on a Les Paul Special. I would like to see this become a Gibson.com exclusive. I feel the olive drab with the burst coloring works really well. I think you could pull off a Les Paul Standard if it had the teardrop shape, but our headstock was left alone. And it looks like the back is also black, but we do have the burst on the headstock. But that's looking like a satin finish to me. There's another metallic one you might have missed on a 70s Explorer called Ebony Space. Well, what is going on here? Okay. I thought at first they had contoured it like an E2 from the late 70s, early 80s, and I'm still not entirely sure if they did or not. Because if you look at the pickguard, they do have a line that kind of goes around it, so I think it might be a combination here. And then of course they blacked everything else out, including our tuners. And I'll be darned, they did. They contoured it, even on the back. That's some risky stuff there, mod collection. I like it. But this photo right here shows you what you can expect in person as far as the sparkliness. So there you go. If you didn't believe me, lower bout German Carve edge and comfort cut. So that's not the first time we've seen that, but this one's way more traditional. But now our cool little alien friend here. So they called it Candy Green Metallic, but I really like what they've done here. Clear pickguard making you think of like a UFO going transparent. They've got all the chrome knobs as well as the hardware, but it's just the pickup ring toppers. This angle shows you that it's still the original cream rings underneath there. You get the matching pickups, and then the pickups match the binding. This is very tastefully done. You've got 4 alien eyes looking at you right there, but they just left your headstock be. And then gave you that cherry back, which will certainly give you an interesting side profile shot, kind of like a watermelon. It's still available at the time of recording. Takes a very special person to like that one, and I'm that guy. But how about Magenta Glow Satin? An SG Special for $2,100, just has a nice purpley pink color as implied by our name. Got some really crazily wrapped strings, and a matching back and neck. But if you want that on a Les Paul, you might like Lavender Trance. Also a satin finish. However, this one gives me Kirk Hammett vibes. Interesting pickup choice. So all black chrome, but P94 in the neck, and then a humbucker that has no exposed pole pieces. Well, I'll be darned, it's actually one of the Tony Iommi signatures. But sweet, we painted over the headstock ever so slightly, and gave us a satin back. That's another one that hasn't sold yet, maybe because it's nearly 10.5 pounds. Now we've got another repeater. Last week we saw a recreation of the red swirl. Now we've got the blue flood again. This time done on a Les Paul Custom. Adjust our color so you can see it better. It's a blue swirly Les Paul. Absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And yes, indeed, they did the headstock again. They seem to be getting better at the swirling. This one's pretty majestic. But as we saw on the sides there, the entire back is black. That was a pretty fair premium for that. That's why it went quick. But what about this 339 figured in Gilded Emerald? With a name like that, you would expect gold hardware, but I think they're referring to there might be like a gold overcoat to this that you see at certain angles, and then the green is primarily predominant. I guess we're getting closer to St. Paddy's Day. You might pick it up for that, but if it started life figured, it must not have been that great of a top if they wanted to cover it. And the back is also matching with a black neck. But if a studio's on your list, how about Burnt Copper Still? $1,900, one of the older studios, with a P94 in the neck, uncovered bridge humbucker, blacked out. From the back, it reminds me of the Nitrous series that we documented in this episode, but this one is satin. To end things for the USA mod collection, we've got a 70s Flying V in silver satin. I can go either way on this one. First, it looks really cool, but then the more you look at it, you go, is the off-white really complementary to the silver or not? It reminds me of space. That'd be kind of cool to have like a black sparkly back, but this one is silver. But now the UK mod collection had 4 new offerings. I'd say their studio looks better this week. At 2,500 euros, it's just a nice dark blue color with the chrome hardware and complete matching back that they called dusky blue satin. And this was pretty surprising too, 60 standard sugar plum metallic burst. Kind of reminds me of the dark purple burst Gibson.com exclusive, but just a slightly different flavor on it. It appears to be straight up teardrop shape. But then the back has some nice figuring, but they left it straight up cherry. Then we also had a custom shop in red glint tuxedo. So with a name like that, I would assume this is like a really dark oxblood and it has some red to it. But then in a twist of fate, a rather light colored back. But now let's check out our demo shops. What stood out to me USA side was there's this strange goatee Les Paul Classic for $1,600. It was this discoloration in the center that just made me laugh. It gives it some character. And the back has some pretty decent figuring as well. This right here was really tempting. So this is another Les Paul Classic. They're trying to move through them, but it's listed as modified Ebony. So they gave you the 490R, 498T pickups. And the Classics already have the push-pull pots, but this one was upgraded to the old HP style that has the dip switch. So that's kind of cool, and it was all blacked out, including our tuner tips. But nothing else was really necessarily changed until I got to the very back. Oh! One of the Government 1 Series cases, green, you know, those can sell for good money all on their own, so it nearly makes it worth picking up, even if you just want the case. But our next one is a translucent oxblood, the 60s neck variety. Again, it's actually a red color, you just have to shine a light on it to see. Some of these are darker than others, but I wanted to share this one because of the reason why it's in the mod collection. This usually occurs when the guitar gets dropped in transit. Not enough to break it, just enough to make the fretboard want to come up a hair. And that's what causes this jagged line. If it's just a straight line, that's just a natural seam line showing. But when it's jagged, that's when you know a trauma occurred. There's nothing you can really do about it in this case, outside of a finish touch-up. But they're giving you like $800 off. You decide if it's worth it. But this SG Modern had an interesting formation on it. Being a blueberry finish, and it being very cold, this reminded me of an iceberg, because it's very white in this area, and it just goes straight up. So maybe not the craziest flame top we've ever seen, but it's got character. And the back is a very luxurious blue. And there was potentially a custom color, I'm not sure. They called it sparkling charcoal, but it's probably one of those finishes where you can't see it in the stock photography. But they also make just a straight up ebony top version of this, so I wondered if somebody just misnamed it. Because usually you don't see a lot of custom colors here, and this could be the sparkle they're talking about, or just dust. They do confirm it down here. So yeah, custom color in the demo shop. You don't see that every week. At least not anymore. And then an R9 caught my attention at 5,600. This flame formation kind of reminded me of like a heart, which if you want a Les Paul that has a heart, there is the Southern Tribute Rock series. I've never been a big fan of those personally, but they are what they are. And now we can visit our overseas friends, the European demo shop. They had a 335 satin, a gloss ebony, and a super heavy ultra VOS custom. And then the UK side had a left-handed USA Casino, a USA 335, and another one in Sunburst. Nothing super eye-catching. Here's a case of spooky deja vu, a Les Paul Custom Ebony. About a year or so ago, Gibson did a limited run of Telepauls, as I called it. I actually documented one because it was such an interesting concept when they put Telecaster pickups in a Les Paul Custom. What they did is they put this unique motif over here, so kind of like the Hummingbird 335. This one, it doesn't have the tele pickups. And the back of those headstocks said 1 out of 5, and 3 of them only showed up. So here we are, considerable time later, 5 of 5 finally showed up. So I wonder if the last 2 just have regular humbuckers. So if you like the idea of this, but not necessarily the pickups, there you go, check it out. Check out this 57 Custom reissue. They called it Honey Nut Cheerios. The biggest thing to know about 57 Custom reissues is they have mahogany tops. I mean, despite most of them being black and you can't actually see it, that is the largest spec difference between this and a 68 style Custom. And if you're curious about what the difference between a 68 and a regular Custom, one of the biggest ones in modern day production is the ABR1 bridge. But you've got cool mahogany wood grain exposed, you've got the ambered out knobs, uncovered black pickups, and then they did a really interesting effect here. It kind of reminds me of 34 burst that we documented on the ES235, but they just sprayed a little bit of amber in the center of the headstock, so it aged just around our custom emblem and the inlays itself. I think it's kind of cool. We just need to experiment a little bit more with it. The back's where this one gets really cool. You can definitely see a little bit more of the amberness come through with the great wood grain on the back. Looks like they darkened the heel just a tad, then left the rest of the neck alone. Hey, that's not too bad of a weight for a solid mahogany guitar. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this week's recap. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow for a fun episode. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.